The moment he heard the words, time seemed to slow, as if the air in the office had thickened around him. A single dad, running on little sleep and too much responsibility, he had learned to tune out almost everything except the ticking clock and the quiet ache of survival. But that whisper, soft, unexpected, and dangerously close, cut through years of exhaustion like a blade. It was not temptation that froze him in place. It was shock, confusion, and the deep fear that something fragile in his carefully controlled life was about to crack wide open. He never imagined that a single sentence, spoken under a breath, would lead him somewhere that would change not just his heart, but the future of everyone involved. Before the story pulls you deeper, take a moment. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet power of human connection, please like this video, comment your thoughts, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps stories like this reach hearts that need them most. He had not planned for life to turn out this way. Years earlier, he had been part of a different world, one filled with shared dreams and ordinary happiness. Then loss came without warning, leaving him alone with a small child who depended on him for everything. Grief did not arrive as loud sobs or dramatic breakdowns. It arrived as silence, as unpaid bills on the kitchen table, as nights spent awake, listening for a child's breathing while wondering how to survive another day. He took the first stable job he could find, working long hours in an office that smelled of paper and stale coffee, slowly earning a reputation as a man who was reliable, distant, and painfully serious. His daughter became the center of his universe. Every decision, every sacrifice, every moment of restraint revolved around her. He learned how to braid hair with clumsy fingers, how to pack lunches shaped like smiles, and how to hide his own loneliness behind bedtime stories. Romance was not something he allowed himself to think about. Desire felt like a luxury he could no longer afford. He built walls so high that even he forgot what was on the other side. The office was where he wore his armor the thickest. As a manager, he kept strict boundaries, believing professionalism was the only way to keep his fragile balance intact. Among his staff was his secretary, a woman whose presence he noticed only in practical ways. She was efficient, organized, and quiet in a way that suggested she carried her own weight of invisible burdens. She arrived early, left late, and rarely spoke unless necessary. Over time, he learned to trust her competence without ever truly seeing her as a person with a life beyond spreadsheets and schedules. That was why the whisper shook him so deeply. It was not seductive in the way movies portrayed such moments. It was trembling, urgent, heavy with something unsaid. For a brief second, his mind raced through worst-case scenarios, fear tightening his chest. He pulled back instinctively, not out of anger, but out of confusion and self-protection. He was a man who had learned the cost of emotional chaos, and he refused to let it back into his life so easily. What followed was not a scandal, not a secret affair, and not the kind of drama people expect from such a moment. Instead, it was an unraveling of truth. In the days that followed, the office felt different to him. He noticed the dark circles under her eyes, the way her hands shook slightly when she thought no one was watching. He began to see reflections of his own past pain in her quiet resilience. Something inside him softened, not with desire, but with recognition. When he finally allowed himself to understand what she had meant, it broke his heart. She was not asking for intimacy. She was asking for safety. Privacy, to explain something she had been carrying alone. Her life outside the office was collapsing under the weight of responsibilities she never chose, caring for a sick parent, drowning in debt, and fighting the constant fear of losing the one job that kept her afloat. That whisper had been desperation, not temptation. As a single father, he understood desperation intimately. He knew what it meant to feel trapped by circumstances, to swallow pride just to survive. The walls he had built to protect himself began to crack, and through those cracks came empathy. He did not rescue her in a dramatic way. There was no grand gesture or instant solution. Instead, he did something quieter and far more powerful. He listened. He used his position not to control, but to support, offering flexibility, understanding, and resources that respected her dignity. This shift changed him as much as it changed her. For the first time in years, he allowed himself to feel connected to another adult, not through romance but through shared humanity. He realized how much of his own pain he had buried beneath routine and responsibility. Watching her slowly regain stability reminded him that healing was possible, even for those who believed they were beyond it. At home, he found himself softer with his daughter, more present. He laughed more easily. The weight on his chest felt lighter, as if helping someone else had unlocked something he had long denied himself. His daughter noticed the change before anyone else. Children always do. She smiled more, hugged him longer, and one night asked him why he seemed happier. He did not have an easy answer, but he knew the truth. Kindness had given him back a piece of himself. Months passed, and the office dynamic evolved naturally. Trust replaced tension. Respect deepened into something meaningful but unspoken. There was no crossing of boundaries, no hidden romance. What grew instead was mutual admiration and quiet gratitude. They had both stood at the edge of collapse and chosen compassion over fear. Life did not suddenly become perfect. Bills still came. Exhaustion still lingered. But something fundamental had shifted. He no longer felt alone in the world. He learned that strength was not just about enduring pain in silence, but about allowing space for connection when it mattered most. As the story draws closer to its end, take a moment. If this journey of quiet courage, empathy, and second chances has touched your heart, please like this video, share it with someone who might need hope, and stay connected to this channel. Stories like this exist to remind us that even the smallest moments can change lives. Just before the ending, I want to ask you something special. Please comment below with one word that describes how this story made you feel. Your words matter more than you know. In the end, the single dad realized that the whisper he once feared was not a threat to his carefully built life, but an invitation to rediscover what it meant to be human. It taught him that compassion does not weaken us, it restores us. And sometimes, the most powerful love stories are not about romance at all, but about two broken people choosing kindness in a world that has given them every reason not to.